Hello for first week's recording. My movie that I was going to watch is Mercury Rising. Story about an autistic boy who figured out some government code that wasn't supposed to be cracked with his autism superpower. We'll talk about that in a second. I guess I'll talk first about what I know about autism and with some things that are consistent with the books and textbooks or with about autism that they did get right in this movie. Simon did a lot of stimming, a lot of rocking in his chair and things like that, repeating a lot of phrases and things like that. He was obsessed with puzzles and mazes, especially. Um, he was very antisocial, and not just at school, which they started showing Simon, but it was also at home. So it was very consistent with the across all basically environments that he would act this way. Um, he had pretty much an all day motor too. He actually needed his father to come home after working at night, or he would not sleep, and had to rock him to sleep to get him to go to bed at all. So that was something, a routine that he really, really relied on, which also is very consistent with children with autism. Um, Another was there was never really any dialogue between Simon the boy and Art, who is Bruce Willis' character, who is kind of protecting them. Even when he was trying to engage with him at all and get him to say anything, they were really consistent with that character and keeping him just to himself and not wanting to basically have any kind of real discussion in between the two people. Um, Another was he did have also extreme emotional outbursts as a reaction to overstimulation, which I mean most kids in his defense would probably be pretty upset if he was being moved the way he was by Bruce Willis' character, but he was really, really, really kind of acting out and going overboard with his reaction, and which really is consistent with sometimes with children with autism that, I mean, even have their routines disrupted rather. Um, but yeah, he really had a lot of extreme outbursts, especially when leaving the hospital in the movie where he was pretty much picked up and carried out. Um, Let's see. Then I guess here's some things they got wrong. Oh, well, one thing they also did get right, which also some kind of thing they got wrong. Also, what I did like is they had a communication kind of flip book that he could use for communication. That's something that definitely as teachers use, to help them communicate when they need to. My problem with that is, and what I think they got wrong is, it really wasn't that functional though. It kind of had pictures of mom, dad, teacher. I think school was another one, but it really wasn't functional as something to really communicate with. Like, what they accomplished on there, you could put on a picture schedule and just have them up and have him follow along with that. But he really couldn't communicate with it. There was no kind of way for him to show any kind of motion, which I know is hard for them anyway. But even still, sometimes they find a way with those kind of boards and stuff. So yeah, no kind of verbs or anything like that. Nothing on like that, like action word, anything that kind of did any wants or needs that wasn't on there. And also, what they got wrong was they really played into that trope of the superpower fallacy that sometimes associated with children with autism, where even parents that I'll have that deal with, they kind of almost get mad at you if you don't find like their superpower that they're kind of supposed to have, which a lot of these stories and stuff have. Even the reaction when the guys who made the puzzle to put it out um, was told that the kid had autism, they were like, "Oh, well, that explains it," because obviously there's these kids have superpower kind of thing, which I think, and it was a shared opinion amongst several autism websites, um, that it really is it's unfair to assume that because it really is very, very rare to be what they call what they have savant syndrome, or to be honest, what they call twice exceptional. Um, it's even fewer out of the 1 out of 10 children with autism, or really any kind of developmental disorder will display the same sort of chances as far as having savant syndrome. So it's really unfair to assume these children are going to have a superpower and to kind of perpetuate this, because a majority of these children just will not. And it's unfair to kind of assume they do and not really. It can kind of result in not really getting the help that they need because people are kind of assuming they're going to be okay, which I know if anyone's out there has ever worked with one, they know that it is a wide range, and it really truly is just a spectrum. Because there are some kids who, you hope that they can get it together enough to be somewhat functional, and there's some kids who, just with maturity, especially if you're in ECSE like me, that with maturity, they'll get their stuff together and be able to be functional and even very successful in academic endeavors. So, with that being said, it was some really good depictions in this movie about kids with autism. But again, stereotypes just can't be helped sometimes. And, well, unfortunately, it's in this with the savant fallacy. And appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.